It's going to be another interesting draft phase. There's not, as Vladimir and Rise are going to be immediately banned out by Game Talents once they hit the red side here, as LeBlanc and Trundle are the bans coming out from IMA.
You know, same bans from IMA so far, even though they're on the red side of the rift. So they think that they've got the winning formula here. Keep Republic off his good assassin, take away Trundle from Gimgoon. What do they actually have left?
This Kindred's going to be the final ban coming out from IMA, so just sticking to their guns, like you mentioned, and banning out the same 3 champions.
And now all of a sudden, what, do you ban the Rek'Sai? Because you can't give that back over to Avoidless. He's just had a monster game on it and completely nullified any impact that Wushuang can have around Summoner's Rift. But, you know, Jin is also still available. Road had a great game on Thresh, although you don't really want to throw a ban towards that. This is hard.
Rek'Sai is the ban coming out from Game Talent, so the standard red side bans in the LPL coming out from GT. And an instant lock-in of Jin comes out from IMA.
Someone's going to have to start banning him. He is so... he is the perfect hybrid between, you know, the Ashes and the Sivers of having that utility that you need, the follow-up CC. It's not only the ultimate for the huge slow, it's the W for locking priority targets down from so far away. And then he just does ridiculous damage with this new build. This armor penetration build means that Jin is great from Serrator's Dirk through to like 4th item. He falls off a little bit harder late game because he doesn't have the insane crits. And don't get me wrong, like there are still windows where you can take advantage of him. But right now, armor penetration Jin is doing huge things in the LPL.
We saw that last game when IMA picked it up on Jin Zhao. He was wrecking people with the champion. Game Talent, so looking to pick up Aurelia one more time here, as Karma is the support champion of choice.
Or potential mid laner. We've seen Karma making a little bit more of a resurgence towards that mid lane.
Yep.
Republic had a really poor game on Vladimir, so I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, he has to go back towards something a little bit more supportive.
Let's see what they decide to give him. But now IMA looking for their next 2 champion pickups. Hovering the Elise there, showing they could take that one away from Wushuang.
Shen is a really interesting pick right now because, you know, isn't as great as the super tanks in that tank department, but has teleport pretty much twice as often as anyone else. Does shut down Trinity Force users quite well. And if you get something like a Sunfire Cape into a Trinity Force, or you can go pure tank and grab Thormails, things like that, you can actually stop the split push. So I like Smeb's build. If you didn't watch that LCK game, you know, this is a risk because Gragas saw some resurgence as kind of the response to Rek'Sai, but at least still beats Gragas around the map a lot of the time. Much better team fighter out of the Gragas, of course. And wow.
Those are 2 really quick lock-ins coming out from IMA. They're going with the Nautilus again here for Amazing J, and they take the Kassadin here.
They take the blind Kassadin.
Yep.
For Athena. That is just so gutsy from the mid laner of IMA. I mean, Victor is available. Normally, he is the blind pick of choice. Even Azir is an easier blind pick than Kassadin, but, you know, we're in the LPL. Blind pick Kassadin has been a thing for a very long time. They don't have much wave clear on their lineup. First thing I'm going to point out, but, you know, it doesn't matter if they get any... Like, they weren't fighting in waves. Like, wave clear is fundamentally important if you fight in waves. And, you know, if you're trying to siege down turrets or be, you know, the team is going to siege against you. right now, like, Lucian isn't really all that high range. They're not going to actually probably look to fight in it. If they're fighting around Baron, if they're fighting around the Dragons again, which is where a lot of the team fights happen in last game, Cassidy is great in those situations.
And that's what was locked here for IMA. In response, Victor is picked up by Game Talent. So Republic will be playing more of a control mage in this match. And gives also Game Talents that wave play that IMA clearly lacking coming into this game too.
And this is hilarious because Cassidy was initially seeing resurgence of play spring last year when he was pretty much exclusively the counter to Victor. The only time you could pick the Cassidy was in response to the Victor because they trade so well within windows of each other. And you can kind of outrun that ultimate now. You know, one hop, you're out of it because the damage has been moved to be very periodic over a long period of time. I think that this is kind of funny that the gauntlet has been thrown of the blind pick Cassidy, and Republic gives him what is known to be an easier matchup than a lot of things that can be taken into the mid lane.
Well, this is IMA's first game on Cassidy in this split. So between Athema and Bamey, whereas Game Talents, they're the ones that picked it up 4 times so far.
Yeah, Republic's a huge Cassidy player. He should know this, and you know, we'll see whether he's able to execute upon it.
Yeah, let's see if they can do this. We head into game number 2 between Game Talents and IMA. And we're on to Summoner's Rift here for game number 2 between Game Talents and IMA. Currently, IMA are leading 1-0 in this best of 3 series. So they take a very similar team composition onto the Rift again, just changing up the jungler and mid lane this time round. Not only the champion, but the players too.
Yeah, so Athena going to be streaming onto Summoner's Rift with the Cassidy skin. That's one of the best skins in the game, by the way.
Is it?
Yep. You don't agree?
Yeah, it's all right.
Wow. Hard man to please, Pete.
It's an okay skin.
I mean, given the low quality bar of the other Cassidy skins.
That's fair. If you're comparing Cassidy skins, no, probably the best. For now, both these two teams have just kind of fanned out, trying to spot for vision.
There's the Grigus starting to do his red buff.
As we take a look at Keystone Masteries here, Spawn. Lots of Thunderlords again for the bottom lane of IMA. We saw Jin pick that one up last game too.
Yeah, and you know, the armor penetration, the flat pen helps a little bit more than a percentage pen, especially with the build that Jin's going. Great laning phase tool, as we spoke about last time, so not really all that surprised. And we are actually going to see the standard lanes.
Yeah, something that didn't take place last game, as it was a lane swap being initiated by Game Talents. So we had a very drawn-out laning phase, which seemed to be going in Game Talents' favor, but IMA just struck back and struck really hard as well.
Yeah, they got a couple of items onto their Jin, and then they were just able to open up the map. So we'll see whether anything changes now in the 1v1. I mean, I still favor Aurelia quite heavily in the Nautilus matchup, but we'll have to see. Oh, triple bounce. That hurts, PentaQ. Walk it out, shake it off.
Both the AD carries here took a camp at level 1, so hitting 2 pretty quickly in the bottom lane.
That's literally the dream start from Jin Zhao. Being able to get that big triple bounce into the AD carry. Just a little bit of salt into the wound. Here's Cassidy under fire.
Wushuang going for a level 2 gank. Does he flash forward? Decides not to, but a flash away coming in from Athena.
Yeah, so Athena actually pushed up a little bit too hard at level 1. Does get punished for it. And now has missed a lot of CS underneath turret. That was 4 that just got burnt. So good early gank from Wushuang. Gets a summoner spell as well as a lot of pressure down.
It was a very interesting start for Wushuang as well, as he went for a red buff right away and then went straight towards the Raptors.
Yeah, red buff into Raptors is really fun on Gragas because everything is AoE and you kill the little Raptors very quickly, which means that the Raptor camp majority of the damage actually comes from the little one. Big one doesn't hurt all that much. So you're able to do the camp incredibly healthily and quite quickly.
Z-Petsq being rather aggressive in the bottom lane here.
Savoki, that hurts.
Jinjiao dodging out the enchanted Q, and power Q, sorry. Coming up from Karma. Zhushang now trying to invade a little bit. There's those Raptors, gone.
And we've got actually the Infernal Drake first time around. So it's going to be interesting to see whether we get a little bit more of a fight on our hands about that objective.
It's Gimgoon and Amazing J duking it up in the top side of the map. Avoidus actually looking for a gank mid lane here against Republic, who is pushed out rather high. The minions have gone past that choke point, so he's going to start to move in now. Athena being rather aggressive here against Republic. He's going to have to go the long way around. Doesn't have any backup here just yet. And there's actually a teleport going to the bottom lane meanwhile. So Amazing J does cancel out. And they're sending spamming pings on towards Republic, who's skirting through the jungle here. Might have to flash away. Now teleport in return, coming up from the top side of the map. Irella's going to get down here. Gingoon finds the first kill. No, it's going over to Wushra as Jinjiao has to try and run away. And that went south really quick for Ime.
Yeah, it certainly did, but Gimgoon completed the teleport with a huge wave crashing into his turret. So he is actually going to lose a lot here, but not getting much back in response. And they don't even pick up the dragon. First Blood does go over to the jungler, but now pressure on Wu Shuang to be able to get things done elsewhere.
Now all started from a gank that Avoidus tried to throw towards the mid lane here. As Republic teleports back into the lane. Did burn his flash earlier as well when he got ganked.
And he really did get left out in no man's land there, Avoidless. He wants it one more time. See whether he's able to make it work.
It's Amazing J actually making his way down to the mid lane as well. So he's looking for the gank on towards Republic here. Athena going rather aggressive. There's the flash forward, gets the hook. Republic puts the gravity field down, only stuns up the Nautilus, but it's going to be Athena that picks up a kill into the mid lane.
Yeah, so Athena able to grab a kill, and 4 members just appear out of nowhere and take out Republic. That's got to hurt. I mean, everyone else very firmly entrenched in their lane because bottom and top did get pushed rather hard. But Athena now going to get the free time to be able to push this one back in, go back and grab his Catalyst. Cassinan not going to have that hard of an early game.
And this was right after Republic uses teleport to get back into the lane, so has to make the long walk of shame back.
Yeah, it's a bad feeling.
Yeah, we'll have to see if Cassinan uses his teleport to get into the lane. Wushang actually trying to clear out that the mid lane, sorry.
You wouldn't expect that he actually has to right now. I mean, Cassinan still hasn't got his flash. He's still prone to the ganks. So you would expect him to just walk this one out.
And he's doing just that. Moving back towards the mid lane here against Republic. Still fairly even between the mid laners, but the kill is on over towards Cassinan, who did pick up that Catalyst.
And let's get realistic. Any lane that Cassinan is even in, he's actually ahead.
Yep.
Let alone when you give him a kill on top of that. So we're not exactly comparing oranges here. We're comparing like a pineapple to an orange. The Cassinan is going to get a little bit bigger than the Victor towards the latter stages of the game.
Bit spikier as well.
Yep. Weirder hairdo. What is under that hood? That's what I want to know.
The Cassinan hood?
Yeah. Victor's got a mask. He's like Kylo Ren.
Spawn asking the important questions here.
I am. Don't you wonder about these things?
Not really.
All right, that was pretty honest. There we go.
It's up at the top side of Mount Gingoon and Amazing J duking out again. This time it's Amazing J that loses the trade, so to speak. So Irella is starting to win the trades and pull it back in her favor. Zhushang is able to take the walls away here.
Like, I ever wonder, does Aurelia have a favorite skin, right? Because I know what my favorite Aurelia skin is. It's Aviator. But then I'm like, maybe she doesn't like that. Maybe she likes the Lotus Aurelia skin. So am I being a jerk by making her play Aviator Aurelia when I play it? Like, come on, you got to ask these questions every now and again, Fish.
I don't know where to take this anymore, Spawn. I mean, well, what's wrong? He's got no skin on this Gragas. So
yeah,
what does that
maybe
mean?
That's Gragas' favorite way to dress. That's why it's his base.
Does he not like being a gentleman anymore? Yeah.
You got the little ones. That hurts. 46 gold going over to the Gragas right now. Avoidless. He's all out of mind games.
Well, they're trying to still take this blue off back for the Ime side of Avoidless. We'll bring it into the bush here. Does give it over towards Athena. As he hits level 6 now, level 7. So he can be able to dash around the rift with the Rift Walk.
Yeah, of course. Cassinan still wants to get towards level 11, level 16 before anything really happens. If you could have a 30-minute laning phase as Cassinan, you would probably take one if you're going even in CS. Right now he is only 6 down, so that's quite good for Athena. On track for that 11-12 minute Rod of Ages.
And again, another rather even early game between IMA and Game Talents. Only 500 gold separates the two teams.
But this time I'm going to call it, they definitely have a better scrappy team fight composition. So Game Talents actually have to be very careful with how this one goes. I think that if they keep it in lanes, punish that lack of wave clear, allow Victor and, Pendacu to start chipping away at the front line and then take out turrets, they're in an okay position. But if this one gets drawn into around the Dragon Pit, into around Baron, especially around that 24-minute mark again, there's going to be a huge potential for IMA to once again crack this game open.
So Voidless was able to take away the blue buff from Wushuang there.
And they've been picking on Wushuang pretty heavily here. I mean, wards are going down in his jungle nice and early. Hunter's Potion means that the Elisa's not really having to back at all. She's just keeping herself topped up. And you're expecting maybe this first fight to be over the Dragon Pit.
Like you said, it is an Infernal Dragon, so it does give a lot of team fighting stats. Like the clouds we saw for the first 3 spawns last game. Gimgu going rather aggressive on the top side of the map against Amazing J. And Zhuchuan was looking to try and make his way towards the mid lane.
Actually, a pretty big CS lead being opened up for PentaQ here. About 20 up. Probably the biggest thing to speak about for Game Talents. I mean, Karma's a fantastic support. She wins a lot of lanes by herself. And Republic, who's is being a little bit picked on right now from Athena. That's not very nice.
Athena trying to do what he can to stop the push coming out from Wushuang to make sure Republic gets a nice back in. As we move down to the bottom lane, PentaQ did have a pretty decent game despite the loss on Game Talent, especially throughout the early skirmishes between the two sides. So looking to try and continue that for laning phase here against IMA. And it's grown into a 15 CS lane in favor of the Lucian.
There you go, Jinjiao not even taking your point in E, as a spectator is showing us.
Wow.
So just Qs into Ws. Of course, ultimate being taken whenever you can. I like E mainly for the slow, not even for the actual damage of it, because it never hits. Like, damage is not going to come through, so it's good if you're trying to repel one of those ganks. Also, gang coming into top lane.
Wushuang looking to try and jump on top of Amazing J there. Gets the dredge line out onto the turret.
Gives away Dragon.
Dragon's been started by a Voidless here after seeing Wushuang up on the top side of the map.
That's really poor form, actually, out of Wushuang. I mean, you can hit him before the hook comes out. You're never actually going to be able to interrupt it because of how the prioritization works. And he just gives away an Infernal Drake at the start of the game. Pretty inexcusable jungling right now, and you've already mentioned it against WE, had a poor series. Looks like it's continuing over here into the IMA lineup.
You get even more aggressive dragons spawning as the Mountain Dragon will be the next dragon to spawn on the map here.
Yeah, and we already said it. IMA want the opportunity to be able to take this into the neutral area of the map. I mean, you give them an Infernal into the Mountain Dragon, that Volcano combo. It's certainly going to happen that way. And Wushuang, one more time, is just popping his head into lanes. It's not really getting anything done.
They know he's here. He walked over the wrist scuttle.
Gragas doesn't like to play that skin.
But a powered E coming out from Karma there, trying to speed up the rest of the team.
They were gone. Like a candle in the wind, Fish. They're out of there. And really, this game is just following straight into IMA's hands. I mean, they've got the Super Tank in the top lane. They've got a Kassadin, who is a time bomb, in the mid lane.
He's already starting to put work on Republic.
100% they have the better AD carry as well. I mean, he's 18 CS down, but he's already stacking up that cull. He's going to have that one finished in no time.
I think this is the 3rd time as well we've seen Wushuang move into the mid lane because Republic is out of mana and being harassed by Athena.
Yeah, and Athena, we already said this, like the one matchup you could, like LPL mid laners love Kassadin. I mean, Pawn, Wayless are all huge fans of it. And the one matchup you could get away running it into, unless like you were going up against Rookie, in which case you just don't want to play any melee into Rookie's Victor, was the Victor matchup. So the fact that Republic, who used to play the reverse end of this matchup a lot, picked himself into it and now is losing 6 CS and is down a kill already, is a really bad news story for Game Talents.
Athena playing really strong so far for IMA, going even in mid lane on Kassadin, which has been so good so far.
Yep.
As that Rod of Ages stacking as well.
He's going with a cute Corrupting Potion into Dark Seal combo as well, so he's going to be even harder to shove around in this lane. Some very serious kill threat.
Game Talents are moving 3 members up into the top side of the map, though, looking to try and jump on towards Amazing J. He has been spotted out. There is a ward deeper into the lane brush up on the top side of the map. Gimgoon trying to chase him down. We can see the jungler and the mid laner trying to go and follow forward. As a teleport actually coming to the top side of the map. A Riptide being popped up. There's Republic going to get locked down. Athena tries to go back in. There's the Chaos Storm. A good ultimate from Wushuang, but just separates the team. Athena's going back in. First kill goes on over towards Wushuang. Gimgoon finds the return onto Athena. As Amazing J will get taken down by the laser, but he does lock down Republic for enough time. Gimgoon has to be a little bit careful as he's taking so many turret hits. Avoidless does come back down, and Savoki has moved all the way up to the top of the map to try and help with that skirmish.
So they go 2 for 2. Here comes Road, also coming for a little bit of a roam, but nothing really going to be happening there. I mean, they get a kill onto their top laner and mid lane, but return for jungle and top laner in response for Aimee. That's a pretty equal trade.
Certainly is, and Summoner spells burn across the board here. A teleport being taken away by Aimee. 2 flashes for Foilers and Amazing J. Gimgoon was able to keep all his summoners in that trade. Only Republic forced to flash.
Yeah, and Gimgoon actually getting out with his life. I mean, once again, he's going to be the person diving Jin Jiao over and over again. He still has to get through what is pretty much 2 PLers in the Nautilus as well as the Thresh. So be interested to see if he can execute in this game. I want to see the Merc trades. I really wasn't happy with the Ninja Tabby last game. I just think Merc trades on Aurelia, especially with how they work with the passive, is so much more valuable.
Well, he does have
pretty much ignore CC.
He's already got that Trinity Force, like he said, so he's going to be able to pick up the boots next, probably, if he goes with the same trend as last game. And there's lots of pick potential from Aimee this game round, swapping out the Rek'Sai for the Elise, now the Casson as well. You have to think that tenacity is rather important in this game. Petsucu's been sitting there for quite some time, putting on his best Fiddlesticks impersonation at the moment.
He's kind of in a bad spot as well. He can't come back through the lane, has to go over the wall.
Now has to actually dash away. I'm not quite sure what he was trying to accomplish there.
He was a sentry fish. How do you know? You wanted information.
Well, we had a pink ward in there.
Information achieved.
Interesting tactics from PentaQ. And Dragon's going to be spawning in a minute 45 here. That was the Mountain Dragon we talked about previously.
You can see that right now Athena is 100% ignoring Republic. About to tick over to that level 11. The lane gets incredibly rough from there for the Victor. Wushuang really trying to get AJ ahead in, Gimgoon ahead in this top lane.
Voidus is up on the top side of the map too, so Wushuang has to be a little bit careful. He's going to wrap around, finds Elise, gets cocooned up, locks him down for a little bit longer. Good damage comes down towards the Gragas.
Takes all the Spiderlings.
15 gold, not bad.
That's good, man. 15 gold, not bad.
He's still moving up here. He has been spotted out by
Victor.
Voidus, and Victor
Also
is
Savoki
moving
on his way.
They've got 2 men down on the bottom side of the map, pushing for Aimee though. It's Jinjiao and Ro looking to take down this turret.
And it is very hard to dive Nautilus at this stage of the game. I mean, he's had a fresh shop in now as well. So probably wise to back away, but they give a lot of free damage over here, and they're not done yet. They've got another wave coming. Probably look to push in on this wave.
Karma actually had to head back to base there, so this will be the first turret of the game falling for Aimee. Rode and Jinjiao picked that one up.
But you know, you have to actually admire the fact that Game Talent's acknowledging this time. Ooh, teleport coming in.
Very deep into the backlines. Wushuang's got the flank around as well. Gimgoon is going to try and get around here, but Rode and Jinjiao already underneath the turret.
I mean, yeah. That's a bad teleport.
Precaution coming up from Rode as well. Puts down the box. Cheeky play from the Thresh.
So teleport's available from Amazing J if they even do get there. All of a sudden you have an Aurelia on the complete wrong side of the map. They're probably going to be able to trade this one back, don't get me wrong, but they've simultaneously lost pressure in probably their last winning lane in the Aurelia versus Nautilus matchup.
One thing they could try and do is go for the Dragon though, which is up in 5 seconds after they take down this bottom lane outer turret, sorry. The rest of Aimee actually grouping up around the pit too, moving down the mid lane.
But it's not like Aimee don't know that it's spawning right now. They still have teleport on their top laner, and they got fresh shops in on everyone. Another serrated Dirk as well as a Yomu's picked up for Jinjiao means that even though he's behind in CS, is actually much stronger than PentaQ. They will give it up, actually.
They do give up the Dragon, it seems, as Wushuang, Gimgoon, PentaQ, and Savoki will be able to take this down. They should be able to take down the top lane outer turret third. They've actually sent Elise up to the top of the map trying to clear out the jungle here. So they do get the turret advantage, but lose the Mountain Dragon.
Yeah, so they get the cross map. They don't really care about Mountain Dragon. As I said, they're not a siege comp, so I can understand that they don't really need it. But was a little bit strange, especially given the current relative power.
I may go for the Rift Herald as a trade another time here.
It's a nice late one as well. It's going to last until about 38 minutes into the game, so that's a pretty potent Rift Herald. I do like prioritizing it a lot later. Athena's gone for a Sheen as well for his second item, so you're going for a little bit more of the one-shot build. And there is no method behind who they give Rift Herald to. Amazing J didn't get it last game. Rek'Sai did. This time he does get it, even though he's like stronger this game. Do you reckon they play paper, scissors, rock?
Probably.
Gong, Kim, Pong.
Don't change spawn.
I'm not going to.
Let's give good now moves up to the top side of the map. You know, puts his onto a minion, trying to get extra damage onto this turret with Pentakill up here.
They're being collapsed on fairly heavily, however. They need to make sure that they're respecting.
They now have Athena in the bottom side of the map for IMA, so he's going to be the one on split push duty.
Yeah, he has actually a really nice split push at this stage of the game. Can outrun Aurelia. Probably can kill Republic outright. And this is once again a really quiet game. 3 kills to 3 at only 18 minutes in. IMA have got the turret advantage and therefore the gold lead. We'll see whether they can make anything happen from it.
It's a nice 2,000 gold lead as well, which is not the most, but still a good gold lead to have 20 minutes into this game. Ginger now moving up to the top side of the map here. Going to clear out the rest of these minions that were pushed on towards the turret previously. The attempt from Game Talents to take down the top lane outer turret. Now Game Talents move a lot of members towards the mid lane. They're really looking to try and siege some turrets here against IMA.
Yeah, and once again, this is one of those games that the longer it goes on, the worse off you feel that Game Talents actually does become. I mean, they have a lot of control in their composition, great straight line wave clear, all those things that make it important, but IMA just don't want to fight within lanes, right? They want to be setting up this deep vision. That's why I was so surprised about Last Dragon, but next one I feel like they are going to fight for in about 3.5 minutes time, so see whether it is going to be Game Talents getting any vision down on that red side of the jungle, see if they can push in and try and force them away. Whether IMA are just able to dominate the flow of the game one more time, because that's really what it came down to. Pacing last game, IMA was dormant for as long as they needed to be. As soon as they hit their power spikes, they turned it on and win the game.
Well, let's see if they can continue to do that. So Voidless now looking to try and take red buff away from Ushuang. He's successful in his steal attempt. Athena still pushing down to the bottom side of the map. Ushuang was spotted out by the ward as they head towards getting some wards down in IMA's jungle.
Yeah, so they are getting done what we said they need to. They're controlling the red side of the map. They're trying to get in on Road and Jin Jiao.
They've sped up. Ushuang, Jin Jiao going to get jumped on here. Knocked away from the Dark Passage, but flashes over the wall. Pentakill now in trouble. Jin Jiao takes it down. Teleports all being thrown in towards the mid lane here as Amazing J can't quite find the Q to lead up with the follow-up on the fight. Gingoon going to tank up the curtain call here to save his teammate. Ushuang was running away, but what a reactive play from Jin Jiao.
Yeah, Jin Jiao and Road are on completely the same page. And they're able to save their AD carry, pick up the kill, and now they'll open up the mid lane turret. So things going from pretty bad to honestly worse right now for Game Talents.
Certainly is. IMA have really stepped up to the plate here today in the LPL, taking down the other turret and reversing the pick attempt coming in from Ushuang.
And Ushuang burnt everything. I mean, he burns a flash body slam into a cast, tries to deliver him up there to Pentakill, but it just didn't work. I mean, pretty telegraphed play, honestly, in the end. And they had topside control. They knew that they could pretty much withdraw into where the Raptor pit was, and they were going to be fine.
Well, it's a minute 50 till Dragon respawns as the outer turret from IMA is under siege. Gimku gets hooked there by a long Q coming out from Amazing J. He's going to have to take Dark Passage to safety now. Forced to flash into that one.
That's one of those hooks that you wish didn't hit, that you could wish you could cancel halfway through, because he manages to thread it. That's impressive in itself, but there is absolutely no follow-up there. And you know, that's a pretty key cooldown in the ultimate and the flash for AJ, especially given the fact that another Infernal's coming up, although
Ushuang's been jumped on here by Athena and Voidless. Savoki trying to lock him down. Here comes Gingu and finds a kill onto Voidless. Road tries to save him with the Dark Passage.
All right, now I am actually doing what we hate to see, and that is try and make over-aggressive plays everywhere at the moment.
They're going to lose.
They need to give this one up.
They want to fight, it seems. They're grouping up towards the top side of the map. Game Talents are only grouped up as 4 for now. They're waiting for something. No, Gimgoon and Wushan now going to jump in. Athena has to flash away. He's going to be able to rift walk away too. As Amazing J tanks up a lot of this damage. Road flash to the wall.
Stack
he
up.
gets so much damage out onto Gimgoon and Wushan. He should fall down first here. As there's a Kurtzakor coming out. Gets him on the back half. The sniper reigns once again as Athena goes to the wall for Republic. He's running out of mana. Pensacue has been locked down by Hook City up on the top side of the map. One more swing of the anchor takes him down. As Athena wasn't quite able to get Republic in his claws, but they're setting nice towards Baron again.
Yeah, they certainly are. The Elise is on her way. They clean up 4 members. Republic doesn't have mana or teleport, so this one is going to be free. And one more time, Aime, just when they look like they're being overzealous, turn a team fight on its head and pick up the huge neutral objective.
Baron buff is going to fall for Aime. They were already 4,000 gold off the top of that fight. Find another 2,000 off of the Baron. And with Baron buff, they're going to look to try and push down even more turrets.
And this all starts so well. I mean, Athena has to burn his flash, has to burn the rift walk to get out. But this is now 3 rift walks stacked up. And really, it's Jin Zhao. He gets into the brush, nails 2, and watch this ward. Gimgoon, you fall down as well. And I don't care who your AD carry is. He is not escaping from a Nautilus Thresh. And second Infernal going to go down. Now there's no way they can fight 2 Infernals as well as a Baron buff. I'm looking to clean this one up 2-0, honestly.
The next Elemental Dragon to spawn is going to be an Infernal again.
It just gets so bad from now on. I mean, you've already got Kassadin. He's got 40% cooldown reduction most likely because you take 7.5 in your runes. Even if you don't, it's just so strong, and they're just flying in.
Looking for another teamfight. Athena's already taken down Savoki. Ushuang takes a lot of damage from that too. They're working on the turret. Good hook comes out for Road. Flays Ushuang back in towards the box there, but an ultimate will stop the engage and disengage away from Aime.
Yeah, but now what do they have for wave clear? Because once again, you know, they've sent back the Gragas. It's too dangerous for Republic to stick around. And with the Lichbane as well as the Jhin, they're able to still pick up turrets relatively quickly.
Inhibitor turret has fallen down in the mid lane. Inhibitor's going to fall down next as well. Aime make the most out of the Baron buff again here in game number 2 against Game Talents.
And straight away, we said their team isn't that good at sieging. Well, they take turrets incredibly quickly if no one is there. And they open up, they get the pick, and then they're just able to push down mid, take out double turret Inhibitor straight away. They're able to break open the base. Now the fact that they don't have any wave clear, don't have any siege, doesn't really mean anything.
Well, last time we saw Aime pick up a Baron buff, they looked for all the outer turrets and an inhibitor. They got the inhibitor down. Now there's 2 outer turrets left standing. You'll potentially go for even more pushes here to take those objectives down. As Amazing J's move back towards the top side of the map here to continue to split push for Aime. Jinjiao Road wants to go back to base. So it's the rest of Aime. So they're going to pick up some items with the gold they've already picked up.
Can understand exactly why. Straight away they go into a locket. They've got themselves another serrated Dirk. I mean, they're ready to fight right now.
2 lockets even.
Voidless goes for a little bit of the variety bucket build right there. Has himself making of the Dead Man plate as well as what is going to be probably the Rylai's Crystal Scepter.
Just wants a bit of everything. Amazing J has his eyes set on the Frozen Heart as his next item.
1250 syndrome, I call that one. You know, when you go back and you're like, I have the perfect amount of gold for needlessly large rod.
Happens a lot when I play Karma, actually.
Yeah.
I should be buying a Sight Stone, but it's not that efficient when I can buy an needlessly large rod.
That's actually not true. But I can't judge.
I like to tell myself that. And now Aime looking for a siege up on the tough side of the map. They do have Baron up minions still, so we'll be able to get some good damage on top of this
all
tower.
their wave clears on the bottom side. I mean, Republic is just caught in no man's land once again.
He's still pushing. Republic is not stopping.
Shot calling's been actually really disappointing today from Game Talents.
He was trying to recall ops, not to. Now going back to base. This might be another inhibitor turret falling for Aime without Republic there. Wushuang has been caught. There's a teleport coming in for the Victor. Ultimate's been popped down, but it's going to be the Gragas that falls there for Jin Zhao. Kurtzakor being popped again on the back half of this team fight. Savoki's going to be the first target. Gets taken out by Athena. The final shot goes straight into Republic there. And they find 2 members of Game Talents.
And Republic's been stunned.
One all attack comes out for Jin. Deals tons of damage, but not enough to take him down.
You know, they send 2 members back, but guess what? They're the 2 teleport users. 2 members still dead on Game Talent's lineup. They can just double teleport to this ward. And trust me, Pentacue, you don't want to be there.
And here comes Amazing J steaming in towards the base. Gets the Q, threads it again through the minion wave. Finds Pentacue. Athena picks up the kill. Gimgoon's going down as well. A double kill comes out for Athena. They've got another inhibitor for their troubles.
Yeah, and all of a sudden they can just back out. In fact, Republic gets hooked as well. This might be game.
Amazing J's on fire. Here's Republic going to get taken down by Avoidance of Spiders here. They've jumped on top of Savoki and Ustra, who has to run away. Gragas trying to get towards his fountain. Aimee, they have their sights set on Nexus again.
And they're going to sweep Game Talents here, absolutely destroy them in a 27-minute victory, 15-5, and 12,000 gold the lead.
Aimee have stepped up here during cross-conference. They took down Newbie previously. Now they've taken down Game Talents. They're looking to impress in their games here in the LPL.
And 3 2-0s back-to-back. Saint, sure, we can maybe accept that one. Newbie falling before them, as well as now Game Talents, who had, just beaten LGD, had just beaten Team WE. Looked so promising coming into this set. But that's a big wake-up call for a young team, because Aimee just smashed them.
They certainly have, and Game Talents look promising again. Started the split promising, dropped a few crucial games, started to look like the middle-of-the-pack team that we thought they would be. Then they beat Team WE, they beat LGD, and now they've dropped their game to Aimee. This is a very confusing team.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we said, can AJ play tanks? I guess the resounding answer is he can play Nautilus at least. Because he had a couple of really impressive games. I wouldn't be surprised if the MVP in this one actually goes to the top laner of Aimee, because he was able to control the Aurelia incredibly well, and some of the initiations at the end of the game were clutch, honestly.
They were near perfect coming up from Amazing J. Not only the initiations coming out from the Nautilus, but also the follow-up in teamfights. It seems like every time his dredge line was available, he was hitting somebody from Game Talents with both Game 1 and 2.
Yeah, exactly right. He was able to get it done. I really did appreciate the game coming out of Amazing J there as well. And, I rate Wushong pretty high in junglers at the moment. And Avoidless had another fantastic series. Top side of the map looking better and better for this team. I mean, everyone knows that Jin Zhao and Road are a really classy bottom lane, right? They're proving that Jin is such a high priority right now. But when the top side of the map fires at the same time, Aimee look fantastic.
They certainly do, and this is something we talked about Game Talents to be famous for doing. When Ushuang's firing and the rest of the team firing, they look unstoppable. But today it just feels like Ushuang, once again, not performing as what we hyped him up to be, as one of those star junglers in the LPL. And the rest of the team were not able to compensate for that, it seems, in their games against Aimee.
Yeah, and Gimgun got Aurelia twice. I mean, if you pick Aurelia, you have to win your laning phase. Like, that's kind of the cardinal rule, is you have to be above where your laner is going to be, because you don't do as much in terms of CC. You're much more of a dive. You have to be a threat to kill the backline. Otherwise, they just ignore you. And you could see this game, he was getting, at worst, at best ignored, and at worst, just blown up by one of the carries regardless. So, yeah, I really think that's a disappointing performance out of the top side of the map of Game Talents. They'll go back to the drawing board. There are a lot of young players right now, and we'll see how they're able to recover.
Well, drafting this game was rather interesting as well. We saw the blind pick Cassidy come in the final game. We saw Jin being picked up as a heavy priority for Aimee in both games. Something we see resurging a lot in the LPL now as one of the main 80 carries to go to for lots of these teams. And the Vladimir Rise not being banned out game 1, then just banned out completely by Game Talents game 2. There was interesting draft phase coming out here today.
Well, what it actually shows you is that Aimee had a much better plan. I mean, Trundle gone, LeBlanc gone, Kindred gone. They did not change their bans, red or blue side. So it really was up to Game Talents. And on the blue side, they felt like with priority pick, they could take the better mid laner, and they took the Vladimir, and it did not work out. Then Republic, unfortunately, had to default back to Comfort. He hasn't got a huge champion pool. I mean, LeBlanc gone, Vlad and Rise gone. That hurts him a lot more than what it apparently hurt Athena. And he took what is a pretty bad matchup, because if you are able to stall the game outright, you're able to get this wave clear. Cassidy wrecks your siege. You wrecks your wave clear potential. He gets pushed in a lot, kind of seeds a mid-game control. But that just never came through. I mean, they were never able to really punish the weaknesses of Cassidy. Instead, they're just playing towards all these strengths, which is this scrappy team fighting, and Athena was going off.
They certainly were in both games for Aimee. They were really doing well in those scrappy team fights. They did pretty well in all their engagements as Game Talents, but that's really what I want to draw to. What else kind of broke down here for Game Talents? Because game 1 and 2, very standard things happened where it was very even for most of the match. But before that, let's take a look at the MVP there. There it is for Amazing J, 2-1-12, the Nautilus.
Yeah, so AJ does pick it up. And just reward. We hype him up to be this carry player going into an Aurelia matchup twice with the Nautilus. Really do have to respect the amount of work the young man was able to do. And he had a really disappointing 2015 Worlds, don't get me wrong. But I am hoping that he does bounce back, because he's a very fun player to watch around League of Legends. And honestly, going back to your original question, what Game Talents were doing, it looked like their shot calling was abysmal. They didn't know how to break standard lanes. When they got lane swapped on and then swapped back, they didn't really have an answer for a couple of the freezes that Jin Zhao was able to put into effect. And when it got past the 20-minute mark, they were just running headfirst into Aimee, and Aimee had better team fighting comps than them.
So a lot of questions we had about Game Talents previously was, are they good? I don't think they've been able to answer that question because some days they look like they're great. Other days, I don't know what happens to them.
Yeah, I guess we don't know is the answer to that question, right? Like, we've seen their peak and we've seen their troughs, and we hope that they even out somewhere in between, but it depends how high they can go because, are they a playoff team? Probably at the moment. They're probably a top 4 team in their group, but can they make it past that first or second round? Right now, if they play League of Legends like that, the answer is a resounding no. Game Talents cannot make it past second round.
IMA stepping up here today. They stepped up pretty well against Newbie previously, who we will see play later against RNG. They look to try and continue to dominate this cross-conference, only dropping, I believe, a game to RNG so far.
Yep.
So they've been playing really well, looking to try and put themselves up in the standings for their group through cross-conference.
IMA has smashed cross-conference. I mean, Saint wasn't close. Newbie also, game 2 of that series was a bloodbath. I mean, they absolutely went berserk, and they have just slaughtered. I think that was like an hour of total game time. Like, they have absolutely wiped the floor right now with Game Talents as well. Like, IMA is in some serious form. And we said, these young teams, what you need is you need them to get that chip on their shoulder, a little bit of confidence. They need to be willing to ride the highs and take it a little bit far. You don't want them to get arrogant, disrespectful of their opponents. But right now, they're playing as if they respect who they're playing against. They just think they're better. And you can see that coming out in their engages. They have a little bit of that swagger and willing to push it a little bit. And time again, they're coming out on top.
We talked about it. Amazing J looking solid now. Jinjiao and Road looking really good as a duo. There was a point in the game where it looked like they were talking to each other through mind communication there with one of their plays through the mid lane. But they've been swapping out Avoidless and Bamey throughout most of the split. And they feels like they're kind of finding their groove, so to speak. Even putting Athena in game number 2 worked out well for them.
Yeah, it certainly did. And, Athena and Bamey is harder for me to judge. I think that the way I read the players, and I don't get to hear their comms, so this is also very difficult to make the call on. I think that Bamey is more of a proactive, let's go forward. I think Athena, when the action happens, reacts incredibly well, but he's not going to kick anything off for you. But when you have players like Road and Amazing J, that's not really a criticism, right? That's just a stylistic difference between the two players, but they both play to an incredibly high ceiling. I think that, hands down, Avoidless is a better jungler than Midi, so that's where the difference is for me.
We get to look at a few of the highlights in that game here. This was one that was, went kind of even for Game Talents in game number 2, but was just turned around by IMA quite nicely.
Yeah, this was really nicely played actually by Gimgoon here. He was able to, put on his dancing shoes on Aurelia, get in and out. Republic unfortunately fumbled the last part of it to make it an even trade, but this kind of was the engage that just flipped the whole game on its head.
Certainly was. We get to see Jinjiao one more time with amazing curtsicle coming up. Finds the snipe on the back half to Gimgoon, who was trying to retreat. Nails him with that final shot, or the 4th shot, sorry.
That was the 3rd one. He missed the 4th. Let's forget about that one, however. And this was really weird because they kept sticking around here and they thought that they had the fight, but they just wasn't enough damage to really blow any of the super tanks up. And every single time that Jin goes into the curtain call, he's just on a completely different screen. No one can actually go with the young man, and Jinjiao, more often than not, was nailing the big snipes.
And this was, again, when Republic was split pushing down on the bottom side of the map, was trying to recall for multiple waves, didn't do it, had to teleport into the fight.
His decision-making was poor, really poor, Republic. And, he got taken to him game 1. He's getting picked on in the champion select. Teams are obviously identifying him as the weaker point of Game Talents. And when that happens, you're like, one more wave, and your team's like, no, we need to defend this turret. All right, I'll teleport in. Okay, you're under the turret now. There's an Nautilus there. You're probably going to die. We'll try and save you. Okay, we just lost the team fight because of you. You've been hooked on the back end of the next team fight to absolutely cost us the game. Republic had a shocker of game 2.
Well, that was Game Talents taking on IMA there, and IMA pick up a 2-0 victory, a very decisive win there. We're going to go into a quick break, but we'll be back with the second best of 3 series tonight, which will be RNG take on Newbie. Don't go